This is Thursday, the Thursday before the 4th of July. This was a week that we were supposed to work through Friday, go home Friday night for the weekend and for the 4th of July celebrations. The truth is that we're going home Thursday night instead because of the health care vote in the Senate. It was written by a handful of Republican senators in the proverbial back room. There was no input from any Democrats, and there wasn't any input from very many Republicans. As a matter of fact, if you've been following the news, a number of Republican senators have been very outspoken about that. So the end result was that they had a small rebellion in the Senate Republican side of the aisle, and they pulled the bill back. So they're going to try and put the frogs back in the wheelbarrow, so to speak, and they're going to use a little bit of this money that's out there, our money, our taxpayer dollars, to persuade Republican senators to vote for what the final bill is going to look like. This bill does not do anything that's good for the majority of the American people. According to the Congressional Budget Office, a nonpartisan analysis, this bill will take 22 million people out of health care. That's not good. It's not good for those 22 million people, and it's not good for our hospitals. It's not good for those of us who are buying insurance, because when you have that big of a number of uninsured individuals, when they become sick or injured and can't pay their hospital bills, that's internalized and it's passed on to the rest of us, or it's just a big loss to hospitals and healthcare providers. We should be figuring out how to improve the healthcare system that we have to put more people on, not take healthcare away from people. Also this week there was some immigration legislation. Matter of fact, they're debating it right now over on the House floor. Two major pieces of legislation. I think the one that is so troubling to many of us is this one to penalize certain states and local governments for actions that they take regarding immigration law. I think it's important to remember that our local cops, that they do a wonderful job. They're fantastic. They are not there to enforce federal immigration laws. They don't enforce all kinds of federal laws, and they have a jurisdiction, they have a responsibility, and they do a good job at it, and that's what they should be doing. And in particular, in our district, I've been told from just about every local law enforcement entity that they work very closely with the immigrant communities, and they have good relationships. They've built those relationships over the years, and those relationships help them do a better job for all of us. And when we start imposing penalties and frightening folks in the immigrant community, what happens is they withdraw. They don't report crimes, they're not cooperative witnesses, and it creates a bigger problem. Had a great meeting this week with the Asian Pacific Coalition, a big population, as you know, in our district. CCN from Solano County in our district, somebody who is a very philanthropic, generous man. He and Regina, his wife, to our local community, has, I think, more McDonald's franchises than anybody else. And he's someone who came here from China and started at the absolute bottom and worked his way up. Very successful businessman and very generous with his success. And he was a leader of that group. We're here to work on the Hill and to advocate for issues that are important to all of us in our community. Now we're going to finish voting here about 5 o'clock, and I told you that's the last votes for the week. I'm not going home until tomorrow morning. I'm on a very early flight into California, and I'm staying because I'm having a bipartisan dinner at my house here in Washington. I'm cooking tonight for 8 colleagues, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and I think this is a good effort to try and bring people together and try and work together to solve some of the problems that we face as Americans. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you this weekend and over the course of the 4th of July holiday somewhere in the district.